Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I am Travis.
And I'm George.
Hey, George,
Sir.
how are those bodily fluids doing?
They're,
Full fluoride.
yeah, fluoridated.
Fluoridated.
Oh,
Fluoridinated. That's a different thing.
The fluoridation has taken full effect at this point.
God, those commies want you to have nice teeth.
I'm very, very mellow, which was the point, right?
I don't know. I don't know
take
what it
away our
is.
essence,
I don't
and just
know.
make us spongy things.
I thought they wanted us to have nice teeth and be healthy, but whatever. We watched Dr. Strangelove or The Armageddon to Failsafe's Deep Impact or The Illusionist to Failsafe's The Prestige or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. George, did you learn to stop worrying and did you
No.
learn to love the bomb?
No, I still don't like the bomb.
But it was a cascade of beautiful explosions at the end.
I don't like the bomb still.
Did you get your cowboy hat out?
No. That was ridiculous and hilarious and ridiculous. What the hell?
It was like a goofy movie.
Yeah, it was weird. Goofing off about that? It's goofy.
Now, if you haven't listened to our previous episode on the movie Failsafe from the same year, 1964, I highly recommend that you listen to that episode and watch that movie prior to this episode because we're going to spoil the holy hell out of both movies. But yeah, George, early impressions of Dr. Strangelove. What are you thinking?
It was goofy. It was unexpectedly goofy.
It wasn't the Kubrick you were expecting.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Kind of, I mean, like almost the identical movie to what we watched last time, but not, I don't want to say identical, but like the same, it's the same thing.
Right.
Different director, different, it's trying to make you feel differently.
It's like sitting down and watching Speed and then watching Airplane.
Yeah.
It's just it's satire, but it's a different kind of satire.
Yeah, it's like meta satire.
Yeah. I forgot how wacky this movie was, actually. Had a crash course tonight.
I thought it was awfully serious. I mean, the Coca-Cola company is not going to like hearing that their machine was shot just to save the world from nuclear annihilation.
It's true. That line was delivered perfectly, though. You know?
Most lines in this movie were. I mean, you have to be on your game to deliver the goofiness of this movie on the same. To try to do the same exact movie as Failsafe, but Failsafe did the complete opposite. Like everything was just so damn serious.
Mm-hmm.
To watch this, it's almost the same exact movie.
Yeah.
Like they use the same script. It was just Kubrick's like, all right, someone stole the script and they're making a serious version of this movie. We're just going to continue. Just going to do what we're doing, and we'll just come out a month earlier or 2 months earlier.
Which one do you like better, George?
I think Failsafe is a more my personality type.
Yes.
But this was very entertaining.
One of the reasons I wanted to watch them in this order was because I've always felt like Failsafe got screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to give you the chance as a fresh set of eyes to see if I'm crazy or if, Failsafe is actually a more successful movie. I mean, they're both great, but I also prefer Failsafe. And so I was interested to see, if we could flip the market with Strangelove having come out first in 64, it got the advantage of being first to the market. But I think comparing them even keel, I would tend to say that Failsafe is the better of the two.
I would agree.
I think it's unfair to compare the two, but it's logical because they are the same movie, but they're completely different movies.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, my personality draws me towards the more serious one.
And mine draws me to this.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly.
and mainly because to me, if I want a story, yeah, I'm gonna watch Fail. And I'd never seen Failsafe, but now I understand. So I would watch Failsafe for that serious drama. But if you want characters, this fucking movie is ridiculous. The fact that Peter Sellers plays 3 different people in this movie, they're all epic. George C. Scott, who you don't really know, played the wacky general. If you saw him in Patton, and then you saw him in this,
Which wacky general?
the screamer,
The guy in the war room?
these damn commies, that guy, like
We're
he's
gonna
just,
see the big board.
yeah, gotta see the big
Yeah,
board.
that guy. Okay.
Just so over the freaking top.
What was the general's name that actually the AWOL guy that killed himself in the bathroom?
Oh, you mean General Dix Handley? Guys,
Dix Handley.
he's back again.
Seems like I heard
It
the
was
name.
Ripper,
I'm like, Dan's
right?
gonna talk about this.
Jack Ripper.
Jack D. Ripper.
Jack D. Ripper. Yeah.
Nothing on the nose about that name.
It's so funny. But yeah, like I believe he's coming off of Patton when doing this.
Okay.
So like he played fucking General Patton
Yeah.
in an epic
In
Oscar
in a serious role.
Yeah, Oscar nominated, I believe, one performance.
Patton was a couple years later, bro.
Oh, was it? I thought this came out second.
No, this came out first.
Oh shit. Dan in post.
Dan in
real time.
Dan in
current.
real time taking it. All right,
Yeah.
well, then screw with everything I was saying. No, but okay. You watch this, then you watch Patton, you'll be blown away at the fact that he's
Ah.
completely the opposite guy.
Good save. Good save.
Yeah. But I could have sworn that one came out before the other. But yeah, it's understandable after seeing this that he became what he became. Like, you're going to see him a bunch.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a Brando, a Pacino,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a De Niro. He's George C. Scott. So he's pretty epic. But Peter Sellers, this is like his... I mean, Peter Sellers is known for being the Inspector Clouseau in all the Pink Panther movies. He's like that generation's... I don't want to say... Who would you equate him to now, Dan? I mean, I don't want to say Jim Carrey because he's not goofy funny.
I mean, he was
But-
kind of Leslie Nielsen before Leslie Nielsen was Leslie
Yeah.
Nielsen.
Just so deadpan.
Yeah.
Like, he would read... He could read the funniest freaking joke and just not break. And you would just sit there and go, am I supposed to? I'm not really sure.
Mm.
Like, he's so good at playing characters.
Now,
And this
does
just showcases him like crazy.
George, can you tell me the 3 characters played by Peter Sellers from this movie you just watched?
I could not.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, he was Strangelove.
Mm-hmm.
He was the president.
Oh, okay.
So he played 2 polar opposite characters right there in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was the what was the name of that? The assistant to the guy that shot himself.
The British guy.
I was British.
The guy who made the other guy
RAF.
shoot a vending machine.
Right.
So he played 3 completely, and he was supposed to play the guy that rode the missile down to the explosion.
The
And
cowboy.
yeah, I believe I don't know why he pulled out of that or wasn't available or something. And then they cast the guy they did, who later on we see in Blazing Saddles, playing the same character. What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? You know that guy?
I would almost say that Kubrick was really going for a Mel Brooks thing at times in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that satire, but not RoboCop satire. You know, it's more something Mel Brooks would do.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
slapstick.
I'm gonna take Failsafe, and I'm just gonna Leslie Nielsen up. You know, make it in the airplane, make it into, you know, Naked Gun.
Gentlemen, you cannot fight in here. This is the war room.
That was a great line.
There's a lot of great lines. I'm going to give it credit where credit's due. Some real good stuff. Well, I don't think it's quite fair to condemn the whole program because of a single slip-up. As the single slip-up is barreling towards nuclear annihilation.
Right. Oh man. Oh, and great little cameo. Not a cameo because he wasn't really famous at the time, but I found it really interesting to hear Darth Vader's voice in this movie.
Yeah, what is he doing in that bomber?
That's so funny. Like you hear him over the radio, and it's like, in 10 years he's gonna, or 14 years he's gonna be Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So he's saying these lines, and some of them sound like they're coming through the radio,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, it's just awesome to hear because he was. I don't want to say he was a nobody. I'm sure he had work, but
Sure.
that was a nice little treat.
But hearing his voice over the radio or
Mhm.
through some electronic thing.
Yeah, it just kind of it was funny to me. Like you almost wanted to hear him say like, "There's no stopping him this time." Like you just hear that
Yeah.
that voice, but it's younger, but it's deep enough that it kind of reminds you of him. So it was
It's a
neat to hear.
foreshadowing.
Yeah, nice little foreshadowing.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit to find out that that is where they found him. Kind of like how, Mel Gibson saw Jim Caviezel getting whipped in A Count of Monte Cristo and was just like, there it is. There's that whipping face.
It's possible. Definitely.
Watching that movie. Oh, that guy's got a great voice. We should probably
Mhm.
look at what he's doing.
Yeah, no, I completely. And I'm sure George Lucas was a huge fan of Dr. Strangelove. I mean, can almost.
I think
Not imagine
everybody
not
in
to.
that era loved this movie. I mean, I think everybody loves this movie. I don't know a lot of detractors from this movie.
I never actually sat down and watched the whole thing from beginning to end. I've watched parts multiple times. I studied the Strangelove character for a play, so I watched a lot of his parts.
Mm-hmm.
So I was familiar with all that stuff, but all the nuance, all the in between, all the filler, I really didn't pay attention to as much as I probably should have. So it was actually nice to watch it after seeing Failsafe and seeing the connection even more. But yeah, all the Strangelove stuff, I had to basically copy that in a play. So I was just like eating that up.
You got your fist bite.
Everybody
Like
loves a
fist
good
bite.
fist bite, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he pounds the shit out of his hand.
So good.
Well, it's funny. I was playing Dr. Scott in Rocky Horror,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the character that's in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
So you've never seen Rocky Horror, but he's the straight character. He's the doctor trying to hunt down the bad guy in the movie. So the director of the play is like, "Listen, we're doing all these movie homages in the play. I need you to play Dr. Scott, but he's normally played this way. I want you to watch Dr. Strangelove, and I want you to play it like Dr. Strangelove." So there's that German connection.
Mm-hmm.
There's that Nazi overtone
Mm-hmm.
in both characters.
Yep.
So then he's like, "I want you to just watch it and then come to rehearsal and just play, just do stuff." So I did all kinds of stuff, and most of it stayed. And wrestling with my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I stood up. I stood up during the play, and I heard the director cackle from the back of the room. So I was just like, all these things that we were playing with, most of them stayed. So it was well worth it to watch this movie. I couldn't do the voice because
Right.
I wanted to do the German accent a little more deeper and more direct. He's very subtle in this movie. It's almost like you got to lean forward to hear what he's saying sometimes.
Absolutely.
That doesn't play well on the stage, but you got to play at the back of the room, right?
Right.
But yeah, great performance.
Yeah, you bet your sweets, Mr. Commie. Look at this, Mr. President. This lousy commie rat was taking pictures with this thing of the big board.
Yeah, he was going somewhere. I'd never seen him do that in any other movie. I mean, he did the shouting because he was Patton, but it was so serious but I'd never seen this goofy version of George C. Scott
In swim trunks,
in Swim Trunk.
banging his secretary.
That was a great
You
scene.
know.
And she answers the phone, "No, this is his secretary." And it's like, "Mm, okay."
Yeah, it's not really a Kubrick movie.
No.
Oh, it's got stuff. It's got some good
It's-
camera angles.
Yeah, that's true.
I was watching a bit with my kid today, and a couple of times he goes, "Why is it that camera angle?" I'm like, "Well, it's because Kubrick made a choice.
Hmm.
He did that on purpose. Like he does everything on purpose.
He doesn't do anything by
Everything.
accident.
Nothing by accident."
There was no light switches.
I think Wendy was flying that plane.
I really did, though. I had one point in the movie today where I paused it and I went, man, if somebody was standing on the set of this movie with a camera in a different aspect ratio than this movie I'm watching, and they took a picture of that character and then photoshopped a shadow behind it, it would look like a different movie, maybe. I mean, that's what you get with Stanley Kubrick, man.
Hmm. I'm not saying anything. I don't want Dan and Post to come out, so I'm just going to leave it.
Oh, man.
Hi, this is Dan in Post. Just in case you missed it, there was a discussion, a lively one, on the Facebook Extra Credit discussion group you can find at facebook.com/groups/Remedial Film Pod regarding a potentially Photoshop picture from the Shining set. There was a lot of back and forth as to whether they intentionally made Wendy look like Nosferatu or whether it was a Photoshop or maybe an on-set photo. You guys should probably hop on and check that discussion to catch up.
How about the slogan at the Air Force Base? What was it? Like pieces are
pieces
business.
are business.
Or
Yeah.
something like that. It's Orwellian.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fun movie, right? There's a lot of hardy.
Sure.
But I think this is like a third tact that we haven't discussed yet with how you can deal with something as horrifying as the Cold War, right? You can attack bugs by proxy. You can attack it head on like failsafe and make everybody sick to their stomach. It's so tense. Or you can put somebody in a position and make them look at the big concept, but then just ornament it, right, with just silliness to try to get you to laugh through the pain.
Well, I think that's what Mel Brooks did with Blazing Saddles. Like he took the subject of racism and made it funny. But not funny because racism's funny. He made it funny because he poked fun at the racists.
Right.
And he made their behavior and their mentality ridiculous.
Right.
So it's not it's offensive.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
But it opens your eyes. It doesn't glorify racism.
Right.
So this movie doesn't glorify the bombs or war. It just basically makes fun of all the warmongering people in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's acceptable. But a good filmmaker can do that. You get a bad filmmaker that makes this movie, and all of a sudden you're like, why is war so awesome to these? Why do I feel like it's fun? Why is war fun? Like, it's got to be done right.
I love when they're talking about like the doomsday machine, and like basically the one general like starts like just salivating over the like him describing it. And he's like, we need one of those.
It's
Like
he's
no,
like talking about
nobody
sex.
needs one of
Yeah.
those.
He's like the woman in Failsafe. Like he was all turned on.
Yeah. Like nobody needs that.
Yeah, we need that. Yeah, I mean it's perfectly done. And in the end, he was kind of right because the ambassador did come in as a spy. Like
Yeah.
all that that rhetoric and everything that he was doing and saying, in the end he was right. He was kind of right.
We can't have a mining shaft gap.
Hey, this is Dan in Post. Just for the record, they never actually show whether the ambassador brought that camera or whether we planted it on him. So, confirmation bias might make you think, oh, indeed, after all this, Turgidson really was correct, but Turgidson might have just planted that on him to make himself look correct. So, I don't know about you, but I'm going to score that one as undetermined.
I didn't like the guy playing the ambassador though. I wasn't feeling that.
Yeah.
He was a little too
Too snobby.
well. He It was
I mean-
kind of like in Failsafe, like the character that Mathau plays. It was almost like too on the nose. Everybody else was playing so serious, and he was like a caricature.
Well, he
Uh,
certainly wasn't taking that as seriously as Sterling Hayden was taking his role, better known as Dix Handley.
Dix Handley.
Dick Stanley.
He doesn't give up his essence anymore.
No.
I thought he was gonna hang himself. I didn't know he was gonna shoot himself. When he put that towel around his neck, I'm like, wait, what? And then boom. And again, great filmmaking. They didn't have to show you anything. Just the fact that he couldn't open the door.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, that's perfect. Because like today's filmmaker would show you the room, or they'd show you like the guy laying there like with this look on his face. You don't need any of that.
No.
You have one of the best physical comedians in Peter Sellers, and you have already given us enough information.
Right.
Just let him play with that, and
Yeah.
he did. Like he didn't even. So perfect.
Ah, yeah, just what a man needs. Some water on the back of his neck, and and the codes, and that's all a man needs. And pop. It's
Boom.
like, oh shit.
It's pretty wild to think about audiences watching this movie and receiving it warmly like a month and a half after Johnson takes over.
Right.
Like, Failsafe, yeah, it came in the election cycle, and yeah, it's a tense time, but like, you're 6 weeks out from the Kennedy assassination, and people are trying to find a way to laugh at it. Like, man. Ugh, what a time to be alive.
Yeah. I just missed it, thank God. I could imagine. There probably wasn't much good news on TV back then.
Is there ever?
Sometimes you get a puppy story today.
Did you notice that they shot the combat from like ground level, so it looked like newsreel or like news reporting?
What, the storming of the base?
Yeah, anytime
Yeah.
they've got ground troops down on the ground, the camera's held low like it's a news report. And I imagine it would be a weird, like, realistic image, right? Like a familiar image to these movie watchers. Kind of shocking in the middle of something so goofy to be like, oh God, this again. Like, oh yeah, we see this every time we go to the movies or every time we turn on the news. Like,
yeah, they were constantly bombarded with newsreels back then. Not like today.
That's what I'm saying.
It was different though. It was almost like American propaganda back then. Like it was always, it was kind of glorifying the military in those newsreels.
Yeah, that's no different.
We don't get that today.
Yeah, we kind of do. We still kind of do.
I try not to.
Started watching the movie thinking, okay, this is going to be the same movie I just watched. Why am I watching two of the same movies in a row? There's got to be a reason. And then, as slapstick things start to happen, I'm thinking, okay, that's the difference. That must be the difference. And I did, have to tell myself to, like, it's not normal to, like, expect normal when you're watching a movie. So, like, it's abnormal to think logically when you're watching a movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're supposed to just, like, accept the abnormal or accept the illogical while you're watching. Suspend your reason while you're watching. I have a tough time doing that. But as soon as I started seeing some of the slapstick elements, I was like, okay, it's going to be one of those movies. And I got through it, and I enjoyed it. Towards the end, I was like, yeah, this is funny. And it's just things, especially towards the end, like the Coke machine and the trying to make the call collect and like trying to like what like.
I'm watching it. I'm going, maybe we should do Airplane next.
I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous. It's funny. It's like, yeah, like who thinks of that, bro? Like. Who thinks of that?
I was watching it, trying not to, watching him wrestle with his arm the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting here going, I don't know if he's going to take this the right way. Like they don't establish. I didn't realize how much they don't establish why he's not, why his arm has its own mind.
Yeah.
They slowly let you in on the fact that he's one of Hitler's guys, basically. Like he's just like talking about eugenics and all these different things.
Oh
and,
yeah. That did not go over my head.
No, I didn't think that would. But
No.
the whole wrestling with the hand, I never, when I was young and I saw this, I was like, why the frig is he possessed? Like, what's going? Why is he wrestling with his hand?
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure how that would fall, but you were laughing.
Calls the president Fuhrer by accident a couple times. Yeah.
Might be a good time to talk about Operation Paperclip. Are you familiar with the Operation Paperclip, George?
Paperclip was basically the relocation of all the scientists from the Nazi Germany projects.
Right. Yeah. And
Right.
The U.S. and the Soviets both, but ours was Operation Paperclip. Theirs was who knows what. We both basically divvied up and snuck out as many German scientists at the end of the Second World War as we could, so as to use their knowledge to build even better weapons.
NASA.
Yeah, they got us into the moon.
Yep.
Take that, Soviets. So it's an interesting time. The moral rigidity reduces a little bit, all in the name of beating the Soviets, right?
Hell yeah.
Nothing's wrong if it helps beat the Soviets.
Yeah, apparently.
Unless it all ends in nuclear annihilation, of course.
Yeah, hindsight is 20/20.
Is it though? Because I hear General Ripper Handley over there talking about communist plots and fluoridation, conspiracy theory, crazy stuff, and I just think, man, I don't know if we're any better today.
I thought I had a similar thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, none of us were alive back then to know exactly what was. We're going by what a satirical movie is saying.
Yeah.
So, was that a theory? I don't think that was a theory. I think they were.
I don't know. I think it might have been. Dude, there's goddamn flat earthers that exist
Oh, I know,
right
but
now.
I'm talking about I always grew up knowing that our own government put the fluoride in the water. So, it was.
Well, that's what the
you can
commies want you to
you
think.
can talk to your sister because she's a dental hygienist, so you can find out the history of it. But I never ever heard the theory that the Russians were putting fluoride in our water.
Oh, definitely, bro. Turning the frogs gay and everything.
Well, it's not that the Russians were doing it, it's that we were doing it to ourselves, but because we'd been swayed by those evil communists who wanted us to have nicer teeth.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Ugh. Nice
I
teeth.
don't even
Blah.
think it's real. Well, I'm a firm believer in communism being a bad thing, so I don't think anything said to make them look bad is necessary.
What do you mean?
I think the whole concept of communism is bad. So anything we make in our movies to make them look bad is kind of, it's asinine to think that we could make a communist mentality look bad when the communist mentality in general is not good. It's killed millions of people.
Who's making?
No, what Dan's saying is like, ugh, the communists, ugh, like we're as Americans looking
talking
down
about
on
clean
communism.
teeth or strong teeth.
That's not what's being said.
Hey guys, look up real quick. Oh, it's gone. It was the point.
Yeah.
What's the point?
No, the
Sometimes
point
it gets lost.
The point is that General Ripper is parroting what I'm looking here at some NIH website now about the research on fluoride in the 40s. So the timing probably does line up. I mean, they're very specific to 1946 being the start of fluoridation in the movie, and I imagine they picked that date on purpose.
Right.
All I'm saying is that this movie is making fun of people who blame everything on communist conspiracy. Like, for example, the fluoride in the water can't possibly be put there by the government to make us healthier. It must be the communists trying to steal our essence, right? Stuffed crust pizza, there's cheese in my crust. It's going to make me fat because the communists are inside of Pizza Hut trying to make me fat, man. So I can't fight the communists, man. I got to have grain alcohol bread instead of, like,
Yeah,
It's the same thing as we talked about, last year, I think at some point, where everything that goes wrong in this country, the solution is a border wall, right? Population's too high, border wall. Too low,
Yeah,
border wall.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
You know,
that's your,
COVID's
your
spreading through the different states. Up, border wall. Like, they met my expectations on that one.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's something I don't understand. It must be communist, because it can't be that I just don't understand the value of nice teeth and healthier children. It's got to be communist trying to steal my essence. It's also an interesting reflection on someone who is mentally unwell and detached from reality, yielding power. And I think that's where, when we all go back to flat earthers, it's not that they have a harmless theory, it's that they have a theory that is a clear sign that they are no longer in the reality that the rest of us are. And to give them power such as a nuclear bomber wing would not necessarily be prudent.
And I don't think that's trying to...
No, I don't know.
I
what
don't
that
think
is.
any movie is trying to make communists look good that we've watched.
No.
And I think that the evil of the communists is kind of assumed in all of these movies that we watch. And the only thing, I mean, in the last movie, Failsafe, there was definitely like a pulling you down to the human.
Well, yeah, they're saying we have common threads, we just refuse to see them.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
Like
in
the
that
fact
movie.
that we're all human, right? And like, but yeah, like the whole communism bad thing is like an assumed thing in all these movies. But also
I wasn't aware that it went that deep. That's like, oh, dogs are barking, must be communists. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, chemtrails, communism. Everything's
That's
communism.
possible, depending on if you believe in those things. It depends. Like,
Safer just
there's
not to believe in
crazies.
those things, though. Just
Right, but there's crazies on every level for every conspiracy theory, but there are also well thought out people that might believe in the same conspiracy theory that a wackadoo does, and it might be a true conspiracy theory, but because the wackadoo is the loudest person chirping about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a crazy theory. But in the end, 20 years later, we find out it was right. If someone screamed 50 years ago, 40 years ago about the Tuskegee Airmen, back then they would have been like, shut the fuck up. That's just not going on. And then you find out later, oh, wait, it was. Oh, and they were giving them syphilis too? Like, it's just, you could sit there at the time and say, yeah, that's a crazy conspiracy theory. But when conspiracy theories start becoming truth, but you've spent 20 years shitting on the people that were saying it 20 years ago, and then it turns out they're right, it's been tainted because it comes out as truth 20 years later, but they have destroyed 20 years of people saying, why aren't we talking about this? So, I mean, it's on both levels, because I'm one of those people. There are a lot of things that I was called crazy about 20 years ago, and now everybody's going, well, did you get the new autobiography on this and all this true shit that we didn't know about? It was all redacted back then, and we were all crazy, and now it's out. So it's like...
How familiar are you guys
You go either way.
with the works of Immanuel Kant?
I'm a little bit aware of it.
Do you remember
Studied
the
them.
categorical imperative and all that?
Remind me.
Well, basically, the long and short of it is, and the part I want to highlight is that Kant says that if you tell a lie, but it turns out that you were actually spreading a fact, right? Like if you spread information in bad faith and it turns out to be true, that you're still lying because you didn't have the evidence at the time to back it up.
Right.
And so the concern is that, when you don't have the information to back up your your fluoride theory, you're essentially you're lying, even if if it turns out years later that what you said had some grain of truth. You didn't know it had that grain of truth, and you just got lucky. But for Kant's purposes, you are committing a grievous, almost a sin by lying.
I think that's true if you're like intentionally like if you're intentionally lying like with malice, right? You're saying like you don't have the evidence to back it up, but like sometimes you don't have evidence to back it up. Sometimes you're just like, you know what? I
It's my
think this
gut
is what's
feeling,
going on.
yeah.
Like, you know, in this movie, the fluoride thing was, he just felt it, and he knew it was the fluoride.
Right.
You
Prime
know,
example.
that was his evidence.
10 years ago, people were saying 1984 is no longer a fictional book. And then
Yeah, we were
then
joking about
yeah,
that.
slowly we would start seeing, once memes became a thing, people would show the memes like, oh, I went into every public library and moved this book from fiction to nonfiction. So
Mhm.
it became like a thing, and then everybody's like, you're crazy. Stop. But here we are in 2021, and we're like, yeah, George Orwell was a prophet. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it
Are we though?
depends.
When was the last time you guys read 1984?
George just read it yesterday.
I started reading it again a couple weeks ago.
I mean, no, not the whole book, but aspects of the book.
But when was the last
There-
time you read the book? I just wonder.
I've read it twice at least.
I've never read it recently, but I've read excerpts here and there.
Because that's my concern. Is
Recently.
I hear people all the time. You know, Orwell is fact, or Orwell is prophet, and oh, it's 1984, and it's like, well, I mean, there's elements of like,
I think people are talking about how small the world has gotten with, you know, AI and technology, and how Big Brother's everywhere. Your cell phone is Big Brother. Like, there's aspects of that book that are no longer fiction. But then there's aspects of Dick Tracy that's no longer fiction. Like, it's just, I mean, he had a watch, he talked into it, and now we have those. So
and
it's
that's
like,
why I moved Dick Tracy to nonfiction anytime I'm at a public library, guys. Get
But
on
see,
my
people don't
meme
give a
train.
people don't give a shit about Dick Tracy and his watch. They care if Big Brother's watching. So they're going to maybe reference Orwell more than they're going to reference Dick Tracy. But in the end,
Yeah, I mean,
are they wrong?
in the end, Orwell was through fiction. The book was a warning.
Right.
Oh, for
the,
sure.
The book is not. It's not.
I'm not saying it is fact.
It's not.
But it's scary.
It's not
that
fiction for the sake of making it. You know, just telling
Right.
a story.
It's like a Michael Crichton movie. Like,
It's a warning for sure.
But it's
Right.
not like
I-
it's any less scary or more scary today than it was in 1975. The tricky part is that it's become like memes and you know, social media culture have
Mhm.
made it like a new thing that it's a meme. It's the book itself is now currently a meme that we're going to talk about. But
you don't think in 2021 it's scarier than it would be in the 60s because we're actually at that point?
which point are we at?
I think it is more scary now that we basically, the powers that be, have full access to everything we do and say. We're there.
Almost there.
I mean, things that the NSA has been doing for, like, I know you've brought up the Patriot Act.
I think
and
that the
and this and
difference.
that.
I think the difference is I can't say that we're there because I've actually read the book, like the whole thing multiple times. And what happens in that book is we're not there yet.
Well, no, we're not there at that aspect. But I'm saying,
but the framework to be able to
do what's in
to
that
get
book.
to that
Yes.
book is definitely
Right.
there.
But the
Now.
framework
say
has
this-
been there since 1945.
No, it has not. No, it has not.
We all carry a beacon around with us.
Yeah, exactly.
That was not there in the 40s.
The smartphone is the telescreen. Like that just is what it is. The Ministry of Truth is out there on your cable news network, you know, spinning every story. There's no such thing as just news anymore. Everything is spun. It doesn't matter which side you're on, it's spun.
Mm-hmm.
The access to, you know, access to your all of your information, your location, like all that going through your cell phone, the microphone that's in it, which God knows, I mean, it's got to be active all the time, right?
It has to be.
It has to be
Yeah.
because you have to be able to say, "Hey Siri," and she comes up.
Mhm.
It's got to always be listening, right?
Yep.
And it's like, can someone tap into that? Can some, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why not? The infrastructure's there.
Even baby monitors,
Dude,
computer
I think
screens,
of, like,
everything.
in the book, like you have to get up, right? And you got to like stand in front of your telescreen and do your exercises in the morning.
They're
Now-
actually like marketing that now, which is hilarious.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Whenever I see like it's like, oh, download this app and it'll notify you and it'll remind you to do this and it'll like count your steps and it'll make sure you're doing this and that. Like it's voluntary right now, right?
And look at TikTok.
It's voluntary right now, but could it be not voluntary in the future? The infrastructure's there.
Yeah.
Like it's there, but we're not there yet.
No, we're not.
We're not there.
You worded it better than I did.
Yeah.
The structure is there if the wrong people want to do whatever. And then someone will say, well, we were there. They'll say, we were there. Because I remember back when the Patriot Act was put into place.
Yep.
And the Bush administration and everything that Cheney was doing, everybody on the left was saying, we're there. Here we are.
Yeah.
And they were right.
They were right.
So
Right as shit.
here
Yes,
we are
they were.
20 years later, and the players are in position to do whatever. I mean, Snowden outed it a while ago. So, I mean, it's not wrong to say. Yeah, it's wrong to say, oh, that book is happening. It's already happened. But it's right to say we are in danger of this stuff becoming a reality because A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Guys, actually, at the time this movie came out, there were reviews that said it would take a lot of work for him to make a more anti-American movie than this movie. Because it makes us all look a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the moon landing, right? Like, why would the U.S. government hire this guy of all people? But I was reading today just because watching this movie again, thinking about what the government of the United States had to think, looking at this movie and looking at what Kubrick had presented of their perspective. Because we all know the people with the best sense of humor and patience for satire is, the 1960s U.S. military. They are all about sensitivity.
That is
Right.
true. Yeah.
So why on earth would the conspiracy theory point toward, of all directors, Stanley Kubrick faking the moon landing? Doesn't make any damn sense.
I didn't know that they did.
That's
Point to
like
him.
a thing.
Yeah, it was like one of those things.
If you read the reasons, though, it's stuff as wonderful as like, oh my God, the fact that in The Shining, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Well, all, capital A, lowercase ll, is a hint toward Apollo 11.
Yeah,
that's a
that's
stretch.
much.
I mean, there's a YouTube
That's-
video that'll try to
that's-
convince you.
Yeah,
Mm.
I've seen it.
It's just there's a point at which my patience for
No, I mean, I can see why you haven't invested any time in the Wendy theory because you think it's similar to that.
Yeah,
It's not.
No, because
It's
I
not.
actually saw the video on his involvement with faking the moon landing because of where he was when he made 2001 and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the stuff that he was able to use them both and I'm just like, seriously, I honestly I don't have patience for the faked moon landing people, but I get it. There are people that believe the earth is flat, so
Dude,
can we do more horror so we stay away from politics?
Sure.
Oh wait, no.
I'm having
can't.
fun. Now, did you notice the song at the end of the movie? Did you recognize that song, George?
It was the bells, right?
Yeah, it was the Exorcist theme. If you mute the movie and play the Exorcist theme, that's what plays at the end of the movie.
That and isn't it a Pink Floyd movie or song as well? The Wall.
The wall, yeah.
The Wall.
No, yeah. So it's a song by Vera Lynn, We'll Meet Again, which is referenced in The Wall, in the song Vera. Are you familiar with disc 2 or side 3 of The Wall, George? Can you recall that from memory?
I was joking.
No, you nailed it by accident. Again, Immanuel Kant is making a really nasty face
Kant
at you.
would say you're an evil man.
You violated the categorical imperative by stating something that is untrue, but just happened to be broken
True.
clocks right twice a day.
Twice a day.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so yes, I am familiar with all sides of the album The Wall.
So you remember the song Vera?
Not particularly.
Does anybody
Vera?
here remember Vera Lynn? Remember how she
Kids in
said,
the back of the class.
"We will meet again some sunny day"? Doon, doon,
Andre?
doon. Vera, what has become of you? Does anybody else in here feel the way I do? Do you know that song? It's very short. It comes before Bring the Boys Back Home.
He's looking.
When was the last time you listened to The Wall front to back, George?
Bring the Boys Back Home is number 18.
Yeah, it starts with the drum roll. Before that, the song Vera. It's very short. Very sad.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. If I look at on my phone, The Wall, Pink Floyd, 1979. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It gets all the way to 16. Nobody Home. 18. Bring the Boys Back Home. I do not have the
skips
song
Vera.
Vera.
You don't have the song
On my
Vera on
phone.
your phone, dude. To avoid a copyright
I'm gonna
strike,
have to Google it.
I'm gonna have to cut this part out. I'm gonna send you. Well, yeah, you can Google it. You're a big boy. But
yeah, I'll just
pull that up real quick.
I wasn't as familiar as I thought I was. I was missing a whole song.
Hey, it's Dan in Post. As you can imagine, George, Travis, listen to Vera from The Wall. Check it out if you haven't already. If you're not familiar, then starting right here is where we came back in when he was done listening.
That's it?
That's it. It's super short. But when you are a 13-year-old angsty teenager and you listen to The Wall all the time, that's a good one. Cut to when they released the live version of The Wall back in 2002 or 2003. In the liner notes, David Gilmour talks about how he loves the solo of Comfortably Numb, but he hates that Vera Lynn crap.
Okay.
I remember being like, "Oh, David, it's my jam." Anyway, it's a song by Vera Lynn that ends this movie. It's a World War II, one of those kind of songs that you listen to if you were deployed, especially the British forces. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when. It's supposed to keep the troops' morale up so that they know they're coming home, right? And if you're on the home front, you're thinking about your dad or you're thinking about your husband overseas.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something to keep the morale up and keep everybody from staring too strongly into the abyss, right? Waiting
Right.
for either your spouse or for the knock on the front door.
Right.
Cut to March of 2020 or so. Queen of England gives a big speech rallying the country and support your healthcare workers and stay home. We'll get through this. And she makes it a point to use the line, "We'll meet again." And that hit hard, man. But again, most people probably don't remember that song or the Pink Floyd song as much, and it's not even on George's phone. But I remember that being a gut punch for me, being like, oh my God, we're at World War levels now that the Queen of England is referencing. Anyway, that's how they end the movie.
It's uplifting.
It's definitely not.
If you don't look at the screen, it's great. I mean, if you wanted a more appropriate song for the end of this movie, did you notice his George C. Scott's binder at one point is targets listed by megadeaths or something like that? It's one of those strategic target kind of things. But I was like, yeah, that's actually what you need to close out this movie is something a bit more on the nose.
Some Megadeth?
Heck yeah, man.
Maybe some Iron Maiden.
Run for the hills. Run for your life. Dun, 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 dun.
Run. Yeah, it's good stuff. That's about the only song I liked from them, though. I wasn't a big Iron Maiden fan. I love their artwork, though. I used to draw their shit all the time.
Yeah, I'm not a big Iron Maiden fan either.
Yeah. but their artwork, the albums were pretty sweet.
Not that I don't like them. I just haven't gotten into them yet, I guess.
That was the only mainstream song I ever heard.
Yeah.
Used to play on MTV.
I only know it from Rock Band. So there.
There you go.
Sorry,
the video
Jason
used to
Wilding.
come on Headbangers Ball. Headbangers Ball.
So this Dr. Strangelove is based on a book called Red Alert, written by a guy named Peter George, who was an RAF. I don't know if he was a pilot or if he was just part of the RAF, Royal Air Force, working in England, writing books kind of on the side under pseudonyms.
Mm-hmm.
He writes this book. It comes out, and then 2 years later, the book that Failsafe is based on comes out. Now, the book that Peter George wrote is called Red Alert. It is, of course, adapted heavily, and the satirists that get a hold of it add Dr. Strangelove, change the title, change the whole ending. In the book, it's a lot more like Failsafe, only at the last minute they're able to stop the bomb on the last plane that gets through and save the world. Once they wrote the script and added Dr. Strangelove and changed the whole tone and changed the whole ending and made it what it is, the story that I see on here is that Kubrick gets wind that a very similar book is about to be made into a movie by another great director, and he sees competition at the box office. Now, the tricky thing about Failsafe is it's an independent production funded by whom I can't find any record of, who the original bankrollers, we talk a lot about independent cinema in the horror genre. We don't talk about it as much in the political genre, but so some shadowy or completely legitimate business people are backing financially the making of Failsafe. Columbia is going to be making Dr. Strangelove. And so, in a strategic move, Kubrick arranges for a lawsuit on copyright infringement on the book Failsafe versus the book Red Alert. And the information I'm seeing here is that basically they're saying that the character of Grota Shelley, who is what's his name, Walter Matthau from Failsafe, is too similar to Dr. Strangelove, who doesn't appear in the book Red Alert.
Okay.
So that's kind of BS, right? Like, you can't.
Yes.
But who knows? The internet sources on these things are pretty shoddy this far out. The important thing to know, though, is that they settle out of court, and as part of the deal, Columbia buys Failsafe. So it owns, the same company owns both these movies. But as part of the arrangement, Failsafe can't be released until at least 6 months after Strangelove. So Kubrick gets his way, and in the end kind of wins, right? Because on the whole, it's a much more mainstream movie.
Right, no one's talking about Failsafe.
Nobody's talking about Failsafe. But Failsafe does come during the election cycle, which you couldn't have predicted it would have been that topical, but damn, boys. Also interesting that it's like the exact same book.
Yeah.
Well, I know for Strangelove, they actually got that author of Red Alert to co-author the screenplay, I believe.
Well, and he also novelized the movie into a book called Dr. Strangelove, including all the new stuff from the movie.
Gotcha.
But the weird thing is, in that book, from what I understand, of course I haven't read the Dr. Strangelove book, but it's basically like aliens come to Earth and are like, wow, this planet certainly fucked up. Wonder what happened. And then it goes through the story.
Gotcha. Well, at least it shows that the author of Red Alert was actually on board for all those changes.
Yeah.
They took that book and
until he committed suicide by shotgun in 1966.
But do we know why?
I mean, can you ever know why?
The whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost. If you keep it a secret, why didn't you tell the world, eh?
Right.
So really, this whole movie is just, it boils down to a happenstance timing issue, because if they'd waited like 4 more days for this incident to happen, we would have already known about the Doomsday device. That's a weird thing to boil into your script. Like, it's funny, right? It's comedy. To be like, oh, we were just about to announce that. But, like,
Right.
it, takes a little bit of the wind out of my sails as far as my... I don't know. It was a choice, right? It was a choice. Hey, so one thing, guys. I'm going to need a little help from you guys and also from the Kubrickian apologist crowd. Are you ready?
Sure.
So the American, I think it's like Colonel Backguano
Backguano.
Yes.
comes in. He's got an M1 carbine, I think. Points it at Peter Sellers' character. Tells him to
Mhm.
put his hands up.
Mm-hmm.
Puts his hands up. Cut back to Backguano. He says, I said put your hands up over your
Mhm.
head and keep them there.
Mm-hmm.
But his hands were up when we cut away.
Yeah, he did tap the book.
Yeah.
He did tap the book, but his hands were up when we cut away, and then when we come back, his hands are down again. Guys, that's
I
a
noticed
continuity
it.
I
error.
noticed it too.
I noticed it as well.
Are
and
we
I
sure that was the reality? Like maybe that was in Batshit's head.
Well, actually,
That really didn't
anytime
happen.
the guy's hands are... I saw a video on YouTube that anytime his hands are up, it's what Backguano is not seeing, but what he's projecting through his mind.
Right, but it wasn't being recorded from behind. So
was it not being?
It was
recorded from
actually
behind?
being recorded from behind him.
oh
Yeah.
shit.
Whoa.
Wendy
Mind
is
blown.
Backguano.
And he's got his two hands up in the air to signify the two L's in the word all, which is the Apollo 11 reference from
Right.
5 years
Of
in the
course.
future.
Of course.
Guys, we
Right.
cracked it. We cracked
They lost
the
me.
code.
As soon as I hear Backguano, I think of Ace Ventura. So
I
I'm just
know.
saying.
He really ruined it for us. Thanks, Ace.
They have guano. Yeah, as soon as I heard that, that's what I was thinking of.
I do think it's funny that this movie, I guess it's 64, so I'd have to go back and look at my, timeline of cursing in movies, but they avoid the word shit at least twice in this movie. Backguano, batshit being one of them, and then there's another where they just don't say the word. Like, they get to it's interesting. It's got an edge to it. I think for 64, it's probably a pretty edgy production.
But didn't Mathau pimp slap a woman not even a couple months later?
Yeah, but that was an independent production, right? I mean, if you
Oh,
think
okay,
back to the Friday 1 and 2, right? They did all kinds of shit in those movies that they would not have done if those were Friday 3 or 4, which is produced
Right.
by Paramount.
Studio, right.
Independent film production, it's got its merits. I will say, gosh, guys, the plane tech in this movie is not as good as I remember it. It's basically
No,
just
it's bad.
they just peg a miniature plane to the front of B-roll footage and then tilt
It's
the
just blue
plane.
screen.
Oh,
green screen.
guys.
It looks like, again, what made me think of Airplane when I was watching this movie. It looks like
Doesn't
those exterior scenes where they show the plane flying and you hear propellers. You hear the propellers the whole friggin' movie, and it's a 747.
It's a jet, yeah.
Guys,
And
great.
just this exteriors, it reminded me of that.
if you ever take the time to watch Case of the Scorpion's Tail with me, which is one of the better Giallos from the early days, we've talked about it before. It's the Der Schwanz des Scorpions, which sounds like the dick of the scorpion.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have some airplane footage that is seriously like somebody went to the toy store, found an airplane, hung it on a string in front of a blue piece of cardboard.
Ugh.
I highly recommend that movie, but the special effects are not great.
It's like the movie with the giant praying mantis where they just show that thing flying next to planes. It's like a 50s monster movie where the
Okay.
mantis becomes huge or whatever.
A Cold War era, yeah, man.
Cold War
just
era
like
movie
them,
where-
just like all the others.
Yep.
Don't look directly at the scary.
And they show this thing flying, and it's like just a plastic bug next to an airplane that's on a string. Like, it's just so bad.
Well, I mean, and like if you look at Doppia Faccia, I don't speak Italian. Double Face, which is a kind of a giallo, kind of a crime film. They do like car crashes, and it's seriously like a pullback racer, just over a black cat
It's like this-
firework.
It's like those videos of those cars on the treadmill, and you have to bet who's going to last. Who
It's always
wins.
the mail truck.
They need to paint those treadmills green. Think of the limitless possibilities.
Oh, my God.
It's true.
Guys, that'd be fucking awesome. Let's quit this
God.
podcast and just go do
Green screen races.
races on
Green
treadmills.
screen treadmill races.
Holy
Yes.
shit.
We could probably make money doing that. We could get Trav an RV.
We'd be bigger than the Beatles. We'd be bigger than hula hoops.
Now, if we could green screen the hula hoops.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So, George, final
Yes,
thoughts. Both good. Glad you saw them both.
Yeah, I'm glad I saw them both. They're both good. It's your personality, man. If you like a serious film, Failsafe is where it's at. If you like goofiness,
Naked Gun? Watch Strangelove.
yeah, Strangelove is great too.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
the Farley brothers made this movie before they were even born. Like, it's just like
Yeah,
he channeled them.
They stand on the shoulders of giants, man.
Yeah. I don't think you get Airplane or Naked Gun without
Without this.
Strangelove.
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'd like to hear an interview with them and see if they say their influence is this, which is weird because
You know what? You know
Kubrick-
when I think I was on board with the slapstickiness of this movie? I know exactly the moment. It was the conversation between the president and the Russian prime
Yes,
minister.
that's
where
when
he's
I heard
calling
you
him, he's
get on
calling him
board.
Dmitri, and they're talking about their day, and they're talking about like, why would I? No, I would call just to talk to you,
Right.
but this time I'm calling, like, like, and it took them so long to get to the
So good.
point. It was
Yeah.
absurd. And
His
that's when I was
delivery,
like,
Peter
I'm on-
Sellers,
oh God, it was
Yes.
fantastic.
Now Dimitri.
he sounds
Dimitri.
like
Yeah, Dimitri.
he's got a real Gene Wilder thing going on with his
Yes.
delivery.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
And it's just
Yes.
like, man, it's so good.
I am as sorry as you are, Dmitri. Don't say that you're more sorry than I am,
And look at my waterfall. That's the most important thing.
because I'm capable of being just as sorry as you are.
It's mixing my chocolate. It's actually churning my chocolate.
So
From
now-
that point on, I was on board.
And I'm sitting there watching that scene, getting heat flashes because I'm getting so angry because it reminds me of listening to my children playing Fortnite with their cousins. Or what's the other one? They have like the imposter, the Among Us, where they're trying to talk to each other, but they're also avoiding each other. So you hear them repeating each other's names constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every time he goes Dimitri, I would like cringe because I can just hear my kids saying their cousins' names
Yeah.
over and over and over again. No one's listening to each other. They're just repeating their names back and forth. And I
Yeah.
can't hear what's going on the other end. I can only hear my kid. And it's like I'm listening to him talk to this president, the president talking to the is it a prime minister at the time?
Whoever.
What
yeah.
you would call it?
I think a premiere.
And, Premier.
Yeah.
And he's just like, Dimitri. No, I would call you if you were Dimitri. And I'm just like, oh my God.
You are coming in clear. Yeah, I'm coming in clear. Well,
Yes,
then I
as you
guess
say, we're
we
both
are both
coming in
coming in
clear.
clear.
Both coming in clear.
Yes, it is a great
Yes.
day when
I
we're
would-
both and everyone's coming in clear.
I
Yes.
would
Yes, I
definitely
would
call you
agree.
for no reason, but this isn't that day.
It is fun though because they never let you hear the premier's voice, so it
No.
Hmm.
it serves the gag. But it's one of those weird times when the movie is exactly the same as Failsafe.
Yep.
But at the same time,
Not at all the same.
And I don't think you have the premier's voice on the other side, which makes Sellers' performance even better.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
Because he's having that conversation with no one.
Yes.
And that's so much better.
Yes. It's so good. But yeah, both movies great. Two totally different animals. This was not what I expected from Kubrick because I've seen some
Right.
Kubricks, not like anything else I've seen.
And I don't think after. I think this is the only one that's like this.
That's like But yeah, both good.
We've really, I mean, over the past 3 weeks, we've dealt with like a serious, somber look at the AIDS crisis, and we've dealt with the Cold War back to back, nuclear annihilation, the end of life on Earth. George,
and human cloning. We dealt with that with Weird Science.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might need a break, dude.
You think so?
Do you think you need a break? Travis, can we give him a break?
I think he needs a break.
Ooh,
No,
hold on.
let's just do one more apocalyptic.
Let me
movie.
look at this calendar real quick. Guys, can you believe it's already going to be October next week?
No, time is flying, dude.
I mean, it seems
Crazy.
like just yesterday was the beginning of September. And
We're watching zombies.
next week, we are going to step back into the fall break. George, are
That's
you ready to watch
insane.
Friday the 13th, part 15?
Yes.
I am too, but we don't have it yet. So,
No.
I'm an avid enough movie watcher that I know that movie doesn't exist.
Oh, Look at that.
yeah. So,
we did something.
Travis, we have talked at length about a fall break plan for Mr. George.
Yes.
Do you think George is ready?
Yeah. I mean, as ready as he's going to be.
So here's what we're going to do. George, are you listening? Are you ready?
Yeah.
He's sitting down.
This week, you are going to have 2 movies assigned to you, and you're going to have to watch them both. I would recommend separate nights, but you can double them up if you think you'll be done in time.
Okay.
Sometime this week, you are going to watch the 1978 classic, John Carpenter's Halloween.
Didn't we already watch that?
We did already
Did
watch
we?
that like a year ago, but it's been a year.
Yeah.
You've watched a lot of stuff since then. You're going to see it with a whole new eye. Also,
Okay.
you're going to follow that with John Carpenter's 1981 classic, Halloween 2.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about Halloween 2 with Halloween 1 in the back of your mind for our
Okay.
next episode. So we're not going to do Halloween again. We don't need to, but it'll inform what we talk about with Halloween 2.
Right. It has been a while. You want me to see it again so it's fresh in my mind.
Well, most people have seen Halloween about 700 times.
Right.
So you've got one.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, watching it again might be. And it's not like it's not painful.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Now, Travis.
Yes.
A little bit of homework for you.
Oh, shit.
Before you watch Halloween 2,
Mhm.
watch Deep Red from Dario
Yes.
Argento. I know you've seen part of it. Watch the whole
I
movie.
start watching. Yes. Okay.
Watch the whole thing. It's worth it. But also, it'll inform our conversation for Halloween 2, which, George, you've already seen Deep Red. If you want to rewatch it, if you have time for 3 movies between now and our next recording, go for it, but make that your
Okay.
third priority.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, 1 and 2 are the priority. I will probably go home and watch Deep Red tonight
Ooh, yes.
if I can.
It's so good. It should be streaming somewhere for free. That one's usually
Yes,
on Prime.
I think I started watching it on.
It was on Prime, I think. For
Yeah,
free.
it was either that or HBO Max, one of those.
Well, I'm excited to talk about Halloween 2, but I'm also excited just to be watching Halloween movies again, guys. Welcome to
Right.
October. I might go watch Halloween right now just to get my day started. Now, guys, hold on to your butts as we go through this Halloween series. We have a few twists and turns coming up to keep you on the edge of your seat as well as poor George. But until then, thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class Podcast. You can always find us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. You can email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com. And heck, if you're finding us on YouTube, you can find us on your podcatchers as well, like Spotify and Apple. And if you're listening on a podcatcher program like Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, etc., you can also, of course, find us at YouTube. If you take a look at our YouTube feed, you'll find a couple of special features coming up later this week and early next as we enter the Fall Break 2021. And we'll see you Wednesday, October 6th, the first full episode of Fall Break 2021, Halloween 2.